Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Combating Cancer. I'm your host, Gwen Kelly. For any first time listeners, a little bit about me is that I was diagnosed with stage 3 astrocytoma brain cancer at the age of 19. This podcast was born out of my own experience, the fear and the confusion, and the pain of everything I went through, but also the strength, support, and resilience I discovered in the cancer community. This is a space for patients, survivors, caregivers, and those who have lost a loved one to come on together, share their stories, and raise awareness because cancer doesn't fight fair and no one should fight it alone. So today's topic is going to be the early warning signs of a brain tumor and what I wish I'd known. And one of the most commonly asked questions I get is, did you know something was wrong before your diagnosis? And honestly, the short answer is not really, but in hindsight, there were signs. They just weren't the typical ones you read about. Most people associate brain tumors with the obvious red flags like persistent headaches, especially in the morning, blurred or double vision, loss of balance or coordination, nausea or vomiting unrelated to illness, personality changes or confusion, speech difficulties, and seizures, which for those of you who have ever listened to my first podcast, and if you haven't, I highly encourage you to go back to listen. But the seizure was my telltale sign that I had a tumor. And I didn't know most of those, but looking back, my body was trying to tell me something just in a different way. So let me take you guys back to high school. For those of you who don't know, I was playing tennis competitively since I was about 8 years old. In my senior year, I started experiencing very intense back spasms from the base of my neck all the way down to my tailbone, especially when lifting my arms, which is a consistent movement in tennis. And at first, I blamed it on the physical strain my body was going through because as an athlete, especially one that was looking to get recruited, which I eventually did, I ended up playing Division II tennis in New York. I was playing around 20 hours a week and I was going to private lessons, group lessons, and I was just eat, sleep, breathing tennis, and I just didn't really know what to do with all this pain. So I was getting massages, seeing a chiropractor, and was even doing heating and cupping therapy multiple times a week, and nothing was helping me. And eventually doctors suggested a medical breast reduction, which I went through thinking it might relieve pressure, and recovery went very well, but the pain just didn't stop completely, and if anything, it got worse as I was getting older. But so by the time I entered college, my pain had spread. My ribs would literally pop in and out during tennis matches. I missed the majority of my freshman season, and I would be crying throughout practices. I would be defaulting matches because I couldn't stand the pain. I would literally be mid-serve and I would feel my rib pop out, and all of a sudden the back spasms would occur, and sometimes I would almost drop to the court because I was in so much pain. And still, I went in for multiple MRIs and nothing showed up in my spine. I was given muscle relaxers and told to rest, and deep down I kept hoping that they would find something to explain what was happening, but they never did. And at the time, I never once considered it might be neurological. And then a few months before my diagnosis, I got pegged in the head with a tennis ball during a match, and I immediately vomited. Classic concussion, right? The team doctor confirmed it, and I followed all the return to play protocols, no screen time, no schoolwork, just rest. And about 10 days later, I passed the test with the team doctor and I was cleared, and no one saw a reason to do any brain imaging. I wasn't having any further issues. Looking back, I have a little regret that I didn't push for more screening, going to see another doctor, because that could have been the moment that I caught that I had a brain tumor, and I would have eventually avoided the embarrassment and the shame of having a seizure in front of all my friends. But I can't be upset at myself for not knowing that at the time, because why would I think that I had a brain tumor at 19? I can't hold on to the coulda, woulda, shouldas because that's just no way to live life. But so then after 3 months later, I was heading to a baseball game with my friends, and we pulled over to take photos with this giant clown dog statue, and just out of nowhere, I ended up having a seizure on the side of the road. That seizure is what led to my brain scans and the diagnosis, and in that moment, everything changed. So what I want you to know is I'm not sharing this story to scare you guys, but I just want to inform you. I've been asked this question numerous times, and I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, after listening to this, I've been having a headache or two. maybe I have a brain tumor. I don't want to scare anyone, but not everyone with a brain tumor has a textbook experience. In fact, many early signs can be subtle or misattributed. Aside from what I experienced, here are some other possible warnings, signs of a brain tumor that you should know. So you can have memory problems, to difficulty concentrating, personality shifts, or sudden depression or anxiety. But also, you can have weakness or numbness in your limbs, and often on one side. I know for me, when I had my seizure, my entire left side of my body is the first thing that went. And you can have clumsiness, and you can drop things, or you can have ringing in your ears or hearing changes. And also, you can have slurring, trouble finding words, difficulty understanding conversations, and especially seizures. Even if you don't have any previous history with it, that's one of the main signs. And even things like unexpected pain, as in my case, chronic fatigue or persistent nausea, can sometimes point to a neurological issue, especially when all other tests come back clean. My final thoughts here is that you need to advocate for yourself. If something feels off in your body, no matter how small or how non-specific it seems, please don't ignore it. Ask for further tests, request a brain scan if you're experiencing multiple symptoms that just don't add up. Be persistent. You know your body better than anyone. Early detection can make all the difference, not just with brain tumors, I want to add, but with any type of cancer. So whether it's your routine breast exam, a skin check, or monitoring changes in mood, vision, or balance, just pay attention. That's all I have for today's episode of Combating Cancer. I hope sharing my experiences helps even one person feel seen, heard, or encouraged to take action. So as always, please feel free to share the story with someone who you think might need it. My door is open if you or someone you know want to share their own personal experiences or have a sponsorship inquiry. As always, just be safe and be aware and stay strong. So that's all I have. I will talk with you guys next Wednesday.